Welcome everyone, episode 5, Pitch Perspective. I am in heaven because we got so much soccer going on. We got multiple leagues from WPSL, UPSL, we got Nissan Nation, we got USL, all the way down the line. So much soccer, so much so that we're going to switch things up this episode. We're going to have our weekly highlight, of course, but then we're going to go in. We got 4 match reviews that we're going to be looking at. New York Shockers versus Rhode Island Rogues of WPSL. We got Nissan Nation. We got PAOK Tijuana versus Temecula FC. We have 2 USL League 2 matches. Des Moines Menace versus FC Wichita, and Academica SC versus the San Francisco Glens. So let's stop talking about it. Let's get to those highlights. So for the highlight here, we're going to go ahead and take a look at some of the standings going around for the leagues that we're going to be covering today. Let's take a look at the WPSL standings. Now we have our NISA Nation standings for the Southwest. And let's go ahead and wrap up with our USL League 2 standings. All right, so for our first match, we're going to be taking a look at the WPSL clubs, New York Shockers versus Rhode Island Rogues in this first match for our day that we're looking at. The Shockers would go ahead and host this match, unfortunately losing those 3 points to the Rogues, where they would score 1 goal to the Rogues, 2 goals. Overall, the Shockers had a very organized press, did very well with specific pressing cues, specifically goalkeeper to center back, and we'll have some examples here in this video that I'm going to show you. They also tried to play inside rather than playing throughout the wings, which helped with a very wide formation that the Rogues were employing. The Rogues, on the other hand, they try to possess in their own half, and that way they can build up to the quick counterattack or quick build-up plays. But because they did actually want to possess and build out of the back, it was an interesting matchup with the Shockers because that press was pretty aggressive and, like I said, organized before. But when the Rogues were able to break out, they favored their right wing attacker. They picked a lot of ambitious passes. And unfortunately, while the ambitious passes looked really good, they just came up short and they were unable to capitalize in that first half. As far as the second half goes, they continued on with the same tactics that they were each employing. You know, they wanted to favor the right wing for the Rogues. They wanted to continue the press for the Shockers. These attacking options and chances started to go back and forth throughout the match. As the club started feeling more confident, the Rogues really started to shine. Those ambitious passes started to be completed and in great space where they only have maybe 1 or 2 attackers to beat. And that's where their dribbling skills and just overall individual talent started to shine, helping score those 2 goals that got them the 3 points away at their rivals, New York Shockers, who in the last season beat them 3-0 in one match and drew 3-3 in the last match of the season. So the Shockers have gotten one up on the Rogues a couple of times, and it was nice for the Rogues to, stick it back to them. So let's go ahead. We're going to be rolling our goals for this match and then taking a look at that organized press from the New York Shockers. We have our first goal of the game here from the New York Shockers. Finding a way, dribbling out, wide distribution. They really want to hit the box, hit the ball right on top of the box, right in the middle. We're going to get a goal. Gabriela Silstra, right from the New York Shockers. And that's one thing where I talked about. They want to hit the middle when they're going to be getting into the box to attack. Second goal for the Rogues. Nice set piece, puts it right into the middle of the box. There's confusion, can't get a block on the ground. Allison Patterson slots it into the back of the net. Second, the go ahead goal, the game winning goal. We have the Rogues were able to distribute it wide to the left wing, found some good space after dribbling, crossed it to the back post. Cameron Thompson for the Rogues, sealing the game up 2-1. Now let's take a look at the New York Shockers pressing system. So you can see here as they pass, you can see that the left mid started to shift up as they anticipate the press. Because they move up, they're then able to isolate those three Shocker attackers or their three rogue attackers to the three Shocker defenders, really causing a lot of problems for the Rogues in their defensive half. Now we can see it again as the goalkeeper is about to distribute. They push over to the side. You can start to see the second striker shift over in anticipation of closing down for the pressing system. And this is where the pressing cue is most noticeable. You can see when the goalkeeper passes it in, the attacker starts to dodge forward. And the moment the center back passes it back, she lays off a little bit. That way they can recycle their press and continue to move forward. So one of the things that I really like when you have a club that's so dedicated to having like a pressing system that is organized, you really get to see how that can actually grow, because when you have something that's stable like that in the beginning of your season, that's only going to continue to grow as they play. So it's already successful now. What type of other pressing cues can they add in? What type of movement can they continue to get for the wide pieces that they have, but also maybe some of the other players throughout the field really switching it up to find the right pressing system. And for the Rogues, definitely individually talented, and they have a knack and a vision for finding the right pass and finding it very quickly. So two recipes that can bode well for both of these clubs for a successful season in the 2023 WPSL. So now let's go ahead and go to our next match. Let's go to Nissan Nation match, PAOK Tijuana FC versus Temecula FC. All right, so for this Nissan Nation match, PAOK facing Temecula FC. While I have had criticisms about Nissan Nation, including Mexican clubs, this is still a fabulous opportunity for Temecula FC to travel down to Tijuana. Have other, clubs, scouts, and just other players taking a look at what talent we have out here in Southern California. And, the same goes for the club from Tijuana when they get to come down here and play some of these Southern California sides. This matchup, as far as the stream go, didn't start right away. Started off with a yellow card that was early in the match, but continued to broadcast throughout the rest of the match. The Mexican PAOK side focused on working with distribution and their target striker, their number 9 target striker, who is a little bit bigger on the wider end, I would say, but very skilled with his feet, great vision. And like I said, he's that traditional target striker who can operate with his back to goal. The physicality in this match was also good for that target striker. You could see the physicality within the multiple red cards or yellow cards that we saw in the first half. And it was just a lot of size mismatch from the smaller Mexican side to the larger Temecula side, which of course contributed to the physical gameplay with the extra cards. So like I said, we have this system that's focused on distribution with the PAOK side versus the more physical, quick breaking Temecula FC side. Now, I want to kind of like explain what that physicality is from TFC without, just saying that they're bigger. because of course in certain positions, and in the key positions about how they set up their team and the adjustments that they made, they put the size in the right spot. Up at the striker, they were playing like a 4-2-3-1, and their outside wingers also had size. And this was important because this is where they created the mismatches that allowed them to play from wide positions into the interior. And this is the system of play that they want to develop, especially in the first half. Now, as the second half changed, PAOK felt you could see felt a lot better on the ball, was playing a lot more aggressively, really trying to do what they can to uh, get the goal and continue to go on so that way they can get the victory. A lot more composed. Their number 9 striker got a lot more touches, even though you could tell that he was starting to gas out. He was still getting touches on the ball that were meaningful, at least until about the 75 80th minute, where you can tell that he did enough. For Temecula FC, though, they continued to maintain that style of play, of playing from the outside in, but they did actually make an adjustment at the half to answer for this big target striker that has been causing them problems within the first half. So one of their big bodies that was outside in the wing, Temecula brought in centrally to kind of play as a box-to-box midfielder. When they were defending, he sat low. That way he can provide extra marking on their number 9. But when they would break, he would give an extra option in the midfield to drive forward and create options for. Um, Definitely a good system and a great change to see from Temecula. As someone who's watched them for years now, I felt like I saw a solid game plan being executed, talented players executing that game plan, and coaches making the necessary adjustments to pull off a win in what could be a hostile environment, or definitely a new environment for club or for players that haven't seen that before. So let's go ahead and take a look at these goals here and some various highlights from PAOK's target striker and just other highlights throughout in the match. So here we go. We're going for our first goal here. Temecula creating space, gets taken down. As you can see, we got a penalty coming up right away. Yellow card in the box. Yeah, you can see that he picked up the line there. I thought that was odd, but like the lines on the field are like not drawn on. They were like almost like tape, and they can just fix them when they saw it. But yeah, here we go. Converted penalty. Now, not too much longer from that, you see another penalty on TFC side. I didn't necessarily see so much from it, but it was a penalty nonetheless. Penalty, stepped up, converted. Two penalties in a match is pretty crazy. Just out of these matches that I watched this week, there was quite a few penalties. So that's what I'm talking about. Their big number 10 there. Nice set piece sent right to him, headed down to just find an open attacker to slot that ball home. Great use of physicality on the dead ball set pieces. So now let's go ahead and take at that number 9 striker. Quick transitions. He's able to play his back to goal, just find an even awkward looking touch, but enough to create some open space. Now let's check out some of these highlights. So this is where I like to say where they were playing from the outside in. You can kind of see where they're trying to receive the ball right in the interior, right at the top of the pitch, where they're going to get the best opportunity to score on goal. Now from here, this is I would say a little bit of a controversial call. Let's go ahead and take a look. Tripped up. I mean, I'll let you kind of decide. It looks like he clipped the foot a little bit, but play goes on. Now, this was a mistake that could have been proved deadly, but didn't. All right, so now let's travel down. We're going to USL League Two, Des Moines Menace versus FC Wichita. We got 3 goals from Des Moines: Elliot Goldthorpe, Lagos Kunga, Leroy, and Zugusu. Just starting, Lagos Kunga was like a phenom. He was so entertaining to watch, from his dribbling, his vision to his passing. He was top notch, above and beyond everyone else in this game. It was very clear when you watched that match. Part of what allowed him to be so successful, though, was how organized this um, Des Moines formation was. Everyone shifted very well. They all covered for each other well, and they were pretty rigid along the outside, leaving this whole inside uh, navig leaving this whole inside open, more space, allowing Kunga to navigate wherever he wants around the middle of the pitch to create plays, because everything went through him. If he wanted to be on the right wing and receive, he can there. If he wanted to be on left wing to centered, wherever he wanted to be, he was going to make things happen. And it was very apparent that that's how they were going to play. For FC Wichita, um, they played a pretty wide formation. They left a lot of space in the defense, especially with how high their wingbacks were playing. And when you have that type of space in those defenders, and you're facing these rigid wingers who are going to stick to their position, it's creating a lot of space that the phenom Kunga was just exploiting throughout the match. Now, when the options did come to Wichita, because they're going to have options in a game, right? When the options did come to Wichita, they were unable to slow down the match, and got like lost in the tempo, and really started to force passes instead of just resetting plays. That way they can continue to build momentum in the match. So that way they can at least get, some sort of goal, some sort of, like I said, momentum back in the match to, try to get a point, if not the 3 that they're trying to search for. The second half, some of the same. You get to see Des Moines play with their 3 center backs. They were so confident that they're literally playing from wing to wing. These 3 center backs, you have one all the way on the left, one all the way on the right, one in the center. Very confident that they can push up their team and use those 3 defenders to close down space if they were ever to get counterattacked, which happens sometimes, but just easy for Des Moines to stop. As the match went on, though, when you're down these goals, Wichita had to respond, and everything just started to become riskier. That was leading to being dispossessed, whether that was from like passing mistakes or interceptions. It was starting to get sloppy. You could tell that chemistry was off in this team. They couldn't anticipate where the runs were coming from. So when they finally did get some opportunities on goal with, like, let's say, a breakaway, there was no one there to receive the ball, and the ball was just crossed or passed through a through ball, and there was no one there because the person passing the ball, or the player passing the ball, didn't just assumed someone would be there. So you can tell that chemistry was just not there for FC Wichita. And Des Moines Menace was just flying. They've already had a match where they won 4-0 in the first match. Now they got 3-0, 7 goals in their first 2 matches. This looks like a team that can compete for a national title. So it'll be interesting to continue to watch them. And, also Wichita isn't a slouch either. It's just maybe in this season is going to take some time to actually click and move on for the positive results that they're looking for. So let's go ahead and take a look at 3 of these goals here and some of the things that I saw throughout the match. Here we go, going into the 27th minute here. Des Moines Menace is going to get their first goal here. You can see him patiently playing out the back, really looking for an option. Lagos Kunga. You'll see him right now. He's on the left. You're going to see him in other angles. And that's what I really love about his play. He could have had space to move forward, but it's about pushing that ball back, finding an open man to cross the ball in. Elliot Goldthorpe, first goal of the match. Here we go again. You're going to see them distribute the ball, really search for their angles. You're going to see Kunga pop up. You can see him already moving at the top of the screen, breaking the line so perfectly, chipping the ball right over Lagos Kunga. Des Moines Menace just putting up the goals, putting up the plays. Here we go again. Kunga waiting to bait the runs, pulling the center backs out, creating that space as you recycle the play. Being patient, really waiting for an opportunity. And look at that, wide open. No one notices a streaking runner. Puts it down in. Boom. Right on goal again. Leroy Unzugusi. Third goal, Des Moines Menace. That was the end of the match there. So let's go ahead and check out this maintaining pressure. Now, they're always going to be looking for options. We saw that in some of the goals there. Willing to be patient, even when they get all the way up to the line, willing to turn it back to look for the right option. That is a sign of a patient team and a team that is clicking with their chemistry, and then they're well coached. Now we're going to see Lagos Kunga. We saw him on the plays, on the dribbling, but look at this, chest ball down. I mean, he just has so much skill to be able to dodge. He sets up this pass perfectly too. It's such a shame that nothing is converted. And you can see he's a little frustrated from it, but who won it? Now, as the match started to spread on, they're searching for this goal. You can see how big this spread is in the Wichita defense. Now, when you've had someone like Kunga exploiting all that space, to leave that much open is you're really just asking for it. Now, this was a controversial red card. I'll let you check it out. Keeper goes out of the box. He chests the ball, and as they're going around, they call the play, and he is given a red card. Really awkward. Hadn't really noticed like he used his hand. It was really odd. And the worst part about what was going on here, other than the bad call, they actually didn't even have someone to actually be a backup goalkeeper. They had to just pull from like someone on the field to like play goalkeeper. It's like I've seen that before. I've seen that with like Mike McGee, who did it like the best as anyone can do it, but that's a tough job to do. Luckily he came in, he finished the game out, no other goals were scored, and Wichita would end up losing 3-0. All right, so we're going to look at Academica SC versus San Francisco Glens. The match would finish 5-3. Got the goals mixed up a little bit, but the Glens had a first half hat trick. Max Crichton scored the 3. You had Academica get 2 goals in the first half from Joshua Santillan and Felipe Lopez. In the second half, Kean Jones would score for the Glens, and Ricky Rosas would finish it off for Academica, ending in that 3-5 loss at home. As far as the match went, Academica looked confident, and quickly that was torn down. Within 5 minutes, you could see that they weren't being able to build out of the back. They wanted to possess the ball, they wanted to pass around, and throughout the match, you can see that they were successful at doing so. But the energy from this young Glen side, the energy and intensity was so hard to handle. The press was consistent almost the entire time they were passing throughout the back. There was more Glenn's attackers pressing than there were passing options for Academica's defense. It was intense. That pressure led to the first goal. They continued to press from that. It led to the second goal, and it took that time for Academica to make a few changes to figure out how they wanted to step forward. Part of that was they changed to a low block, condensed a little bit, and really invited the Glens to break them down pressing rather than being pressed by the Glens and losing the ball, which eventually turned to goal. The low block helped a lot. They were able to slow down the Glens, and this allowed them to find some sort of possession, and you can start to see that passing really shine through. They were able to get back 2 goals and tie the match up 2-2, only for the go ahead goal before the end of the half. So 3-2 in the first half. It was really exciting to see these two teams battle back because they had specific styles that they wanted to use and specific types of game plans that they were trying to work towards. So seeing them, come into this match and go tit for tat with their different styles made it a very fun match. A couple things to notice too, which we'll see in some of the goals of how they started. There was a heat break. The heat break actually ended up leading to one of goals in the match after the first half. But when it's hot, that's some of the things that unfortunately happens. Now, while we did get we did get 5 amazing goals in the first half. We weren't done there. They decided they were going to go back at 3 more goals, and in a similar fashion, the Glens got back into that press. Some of the energy they were able to bring, new substitutes continued or allowed them to continue with the same style of play to really create different options. Some nasty tackles started to get thrown in as frustration started to set on Academica. We saw nasty tackles, some that I think probably should have gotten cards when they didn't. But nonetheless, it happened, which, led to dangerous set pieces. And, eventually, that aggression was unable to bring back any more goals to get them closer to that 5-goal mark, which of course was a tall task anyways to mount a third comeback. It's just too hard. And unfortunately for the host side, Academica, they were unable to seal it at Turlock. So there's a lot of goals to take a look at this one. So I want to go ahead and just roll the goals that we'll see here. And just know going forward that the Glens are a very young and exciting team, very well drilled to have a press work like that, but they couldn't really adapt on the fly and needed some time from the half to actually readjust before they can get back in the match and really put the stamp on it with their extra 2 goals in the half. So I look forward to seeing this team grow. While I don't think they're at the spot that, let's say, Des Moines Menace is in the USL League 2, I do think they have potential to be a strong club on the national scene for the USL League 2. But let's kind of stop there. Let's go ahead and run these goal highlights. You can see the penalty there. The pressure just was too much. They ended up breaking past the defense, one-on-one with the goalie, and he tackled him down, and he was issued a red card. The red card, as you'll see, was actually rescinded. I think with just having like a petition from the players and, maybe his other ref saw that he was going for the ball and changed it to a yellow. Penalty was still converted and is now 1-0. Now, here you go, right from kickoff. Academica falling asleep. You have the press. You can see that there's 5 people in that attacking box trying to create something immediately from the press. That is well drilled, going for it, 2 goals within the course of a few minutes. Now, a little bit further down. Look at just how they create space. They do well to hold in the low block to stop that space. Academica's off to the races. They only need 2 to 3 attackers against these 5 defenders from the Glens. Make the opportunity to catch them off balance a little bit so they can get their first comeback goal. All right, so now, like I said before, we're going to see a comeback here for a tying goal with Academica. Good play on the ball, finding the open options wide, not trying to force passes. Find a good look on the outside, and then he himself is able to make some moves, slotting it in far post off his run. All right, 15, 16 minutes later, the Glens, after taking 2 down, want to react. Can see that they have open space on the wings because of Academica just overextending a little bit, able to go through the wings, find a player, Crichton, for his 3rd in the first half to slot it home, getting that hat trick. That doesn't happen very often, 3 goals in the first half. And this one is a bummer. We have from a set piece, a well-earned set piece, then was turned into a great corner, which led to an own goal. You'll get it where you can get it. There we go. We got a takedown inside the box for the Glens, stepping up, converting it off the post, not converting it, hitting it off the post, bouncing off the back. Talk about some luck. You have an own goal off this set piece, then you draw a penalty, you hit the post, and you have enough luck to have it bounce off the goalkeeper's back into the goal. Then we go in for the 3rd goal. Ricky Rosas trying to just get something back here. And we end it at 5-3. Overall, fantastic outing for matches this week. Normally, I'll only be covering about 2, but I know there's going to be some time where there's so many good games that we're just going to be covering a lot. For next week, I'm probably going to have a little bit of a change up on shows as well. On the 20th, I will be going out to check out Temecula FC live at their Nisa Nation match. And then on the 21st, I'll be doing a play-by-play color commentary for the Southwest Premier League. So I'll be there with Dennis Pope. I'm excited to do that. It's been a while since I've done that sort of job. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good time. We'll talk about that experience. We'll talk about those matches more in detail in the next episode. Also, make sure you are following the pod on Twitter, on Instagram, at Pitch Perspective. Go ahead and enjoy the previous episodes that we talked about. That content, other than the matches, are evergreen. You can really listen to some of the things that I'm talking about, the open system and why it's so important to have an open system. We'll continue that discussion in about 2 weeks, where we'll close out with the last 2 episodes, one of which is the last topic, and then kind of like the closing statement of everything that we talked about. So I'm excited with the direction the pod is going in, and looking forward to setting up some more interviews and creating some more great content for all of you guys to follow. So like I said, subscribe, follow us everywhere, and thank you, and support local soccer.